Welcome to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast. I'm Priya Sharma, and joining me today is Arjun Gupta.
Hello, everyone. We're excited to dive into today's important judgments. But before we begin, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our podcast if you enjoy our daily legal breakdowns.
That's right. Your support helps us reach more listeners and continue providing in-depth analysis of the latest court decisions. Now let's get started with today's case. Tejender Pal Singh versus State of Rajasthan.
This case, decided by the High Court of Judicature for Rajasthan at Jodhpur, involves a Sikh religious preacher accused of making anti-national statements. It raises crucial questions about free speech, the interpretation of new criminal laws, and the potential for malicious prosecution.
Let's break down the key facts of the case. Tejender Pal Singh, also known as Timma, posted an audio-video recording on Facebook from Baba Deep Singh Gurudwara on July 5, 2024. The recording allegedly expressed sympathy for Amritpal Singh, a member of parliament currently in judicial custody in Assam. A complaint was filed by Lakhvinder Singh, alleging that the petitioner's speech was anti-national, advocating for Khalistan and hurting religious sentiments. And
based on this complaint, an FIR, or First Information Report, was registered against Tejender Pal Singh under Sections 152 and 197(1)(c) of the Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita 2023, India's new criminal code. This code came into effect on July 1, 2024, replacing the Indian Penal Code (IPC) in many areas.
Now, the legal questions involved in this case are complex and multifaceted. First, the court had to determine whether the content of the Facebook video actually constituted an offense under the BNS section cited. Second, they had to decide if the BNS provisions could be applied retrospectively to acts committed before the new code's enforcement date.
This is a critical question, Priya, because applying a law retrospectively can be problematic. Think of it this way. Imagine a new traffic law stating that all vehicles must have red lights. If this law were applied retroactively, everyone who drove before the law existed would suddenly be breaking the law. That's why we have the principle of prospectivity in law, meaning laws usually only apply to actions taken after their enforcement date.
You've perfectly illustrated the concept, Arjun. Now, the third key legal question was whether the FIR was maliciously filed due to personal animosity between the petitioner and the complainant, potentially constituting abuse of legal process. Lastly, the court had to examine whether criticizing government actions and expressing religious or community pride could be considered as endangering national sovereignty and promoting separatist activities.
Let's dive into the court's reasoning. The court analyzed the video content in its original Punjabi language and its English translation. They found that while some Punjabi expressions might seem offensive, they require demonstrable public repercussions or substantive evidence of deliberate malicious intent to be considered criminal.
The court emphasized that the petitioner's statements about fear of Khalsa and community of lions merely expressed admiration for the Sikh community's valor and generosity, rather than inciting violence or separatism. They also pointed out that the explanation to Section 152 specifically exempts comments expressing disapproval of government measures with the intention of obtaining their alteration through lawful means.
This brings us to the second major point, the retrospective application of BNS provisions. The court recognized the constitutional principles under Article 20 and the saving provisions under Section 358 of the BNS. They cited their previous judgment in Vijay Sharma v. State, which held that substantive penal provisions cannot be applied retrospectively. Therefore, for offenses committed before July 1, 2024, FIRs must be registered under the IPC, not the BNS.
This means that since all the alleged acts except the July 5th video occurred before the BNS came into force, their inclusion in the FIR was legally impermissible.
Exactly. Now, let's address the issue of malicious prosecution. The court analyzed the history of previous FIRs filed by the complainant against the petitioner, noting that multiple FIRs had been dismissed by the police due to lack of evidence. While acknowledging pending protest petitions, the court reasoned that this pattern of complaints suggests a reasonable possibility of personal animosity motivating the current FIR. They emphasized that this background necessitates heightened scrutiny of the FIR's contents.
This is an important point, Arjun. Malicious prosecution is a serious issue that can have significant consequences for individuals. It involves using the legal system to harass someone, even when there is no genuine basis for the accusation. The court's acknowledgement of this potential in this case highlights the need for caution and scrutiny in such situations.
Finally, the court addressed the crucial question of free speech and expression. They interpreted sections 152 and 197(1)(c) in light of the constitutional rights to free speech and expression. They reasoned that laws restricting speech must be narrowly tailored, requiring a direct and imminent connection between speech and the likelihood of rebellion or secession.
This means that mere perception of statements as offensive, without broader context or tangible harm, is insufficient to constitute a criminal offense. The court emphasized that legitimate dissent or criticism cannot be equated with anti-national acts, and the provisions must serve as shields for national security rather than swords against legitimate dissent.
This judgment has significant implications. It underscores the importance of balancing national security with the right to free speech and expression. It also clarifies that the BNS provisions cannot be applied retrospectively, reinforcing the principle of prospectivity in law.
The court ultimately quashed the FIR against Tejender Pal Singh, finding that the content of the video did not constitute an offense under the BNS. They also ruled that the FIR amounted to abuse of process of law and would cause undue harassment and humiliation to the petitioner.
This judgment serves as a reminder that free speech is a fundamental right, and its limitations must be carefully scrutinized. It also highlights the importance of ensuring that the legal system is not misused for personal vendettas or malicious intent.
And that wraps up our analysis of today's judgment. We hope you found our discussion informative and engaging.
Before we sign off, we'd like to remind our listeners once again to like, subscribe, and share our podcast. Your support means the world to us and helps us continue bringing you daily updates on the most important legal decisions.
Absolutely, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow for another exciting episode. Until then, this is Priya Sharma.
And Arjun Gupta, signing off. Thanks for listening to the Ask Junior Daily Judgment podcast.